everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do one last exosomes update before I go back on my IVIG. So as I mentioned in my last videos, it's still too early. I'm 2 weeks out from my exosomes treatment, and my doctor did not tell me that I was, to expect any changes or anything this early in the treatment. But the reason why I wanted to make this video, and this is probably going to be one of the last ones I make for a while, is because I will be restarting my IVIG tomorrow. So for those of you that don't know what IVIG is, it is a blood plasma product. It is typically used for people with immune deficiencies and autoimmune illness, but IVIG can also have very strong anti-inflammatory effects. So if you have a lot of systemic inflammation, it can help to bring some of that inflammation down and relieve some of your symptoms. So I am on IVIG. I'm actually on sub-Q IG, so I infuse it subcutaneously, which is through the skin, for an autoimmune diagnosis that I have. I had to stop this medication. So if you are on this medication and you are thinking of doing stem cells or exosomes, you have to stop a couple weeks before and stay off of it a couple weeks after treatment. So I've been off of it for close to 5 weeks because it's 2 weeks prior, and then my exosomes were 3 infusions every other day. So that was almost like another week, and then 2 more weeks after that. So we're over a month. I mean, I think it's getting close to like a month and a half that I have been off of my IVIG. So taking that into consideration, I'm going to talk about the negative effects that I have had in the last couple of weeks after my exosomes, and the positive effects as well. But when I talk about the negative effects, please keep in mind that a lot of these negative symptoms are probably because I had to stop my IVIG treatment. And my symptoms have sort of kicked up because I don't have anything calming that inflammation, especially the neuromuscular symptoms, which is what that medication is prescribed for. So take that into consideration. The negative effects, I can't 100% say that they are from the exosomes infusions. I can't say the same thing, for the positive effects either, but this is just something that I wanted to make because I'm going to be starting my IVIG tomorrow, and I think it's going to become a little bit more complicated to sort of really distinguish, what it is that the IVIG is doing and what it is that the exosomes are doing, at least until I'm several months out, away from my exosomes treatment. I'm going to be checking in with my doctor 2 months post exosomes. So I'm thinking that that's probably when she's expecting for me to start feeling anything from the exosomes. So until then, it really isn't, that there's really not much else to say. Also that 2-month check-in is her, that's her timeline, I guess. That's probably what she's expecting. But I have been reading, I am part of the there's a Facebook group for people that are doing exosomes. And I've seen a few people say that it's 3 months, that you really shouldn't expect anything until 3 months out, because that's like when your cells completely turn over or something. I don't know. Somebody explained it in there. So I've heard 3 months is also like the other timeline. There's also this other, this blog that I found of this girl in the UK. It's called February Stars. And she does a really good job. She did exosomes like when it was brand new. So this was like back in, I think, 2017 or 2018. So she was probably like one of the first people to ever do exosomes, that has a diagnosis like Lyme disease, that kind of thing. And she actually did like an update 6 months out. And she does describe having a very rough time in the months, prior to that. So I'm seeing lots of different timelines None of them are under 2 months, to be honest. So this is definitely looking like something that is going to take months to do anything or to have any effect, if it does have any effect. So please keep that, take that into consideration when I'm going down the list and the fact that I am off of my medication. So I'll start with the negative stuff first. These lists are actually not very long. I was writing down the lists and I was like, there's really not much. And obviously that's because it's only been 2 weeks. Obviously my muscle stiffness, I have muscle stiffness in my rib cage and in my pelvic floor. That has gotten worse. It has been really uncomfortable for the last, and I want to say it's been the last couple of weeks. It has actually gotten worse because the first 2 weeks, I think I was doing okay. And then I did the exosomes, and now these following 2 weeks, I don't want to say that it is the exosomes. It could just be because I am like 5 weeks off of my IVIG. So obviously over that amount of time, I'm only going to continue to feel worse off of my IVIG until exosomes start kicking in. I've had increased muscle twitching. I've had muscle twitching in my rib cage. I had muscle twitching in my left eye that has just been driving me nuts. And that actually started prior to the exosomes infusions, because I remember at my first infusion, my eye was twitching. My left eye was twitching. So all of that is probably because of the lack of IVIG. I have been a little bit more tired. I've been dozing off. I do relaxations, which are kind of like meditation. I do them twice a day, and I have been dozing usually during the second one, but I have found myself dozing even during the first one, which I do usually around 11:30 in the morning. So more tiredness, more dozing. That was one day where I must have fallen asleep because I don't remember hearing anything, because I use a recording to kind of guide me through the relaxation techniques, and I just recall waking up. There was no sound, which that it's rare for me to actually completely knock out, and I must have done that. Another thing to consider too is that I might be right now in a sort of PMS phase, so some fatigue, and may be due to that. Also, IVIG seems to have helped with a lot of PMS, and since I'm off of my IVIG, PMS may also be worse. Periods may also be irregular. So I'm still, I still haven't seen that yet, but I will know within the next week or so if the lack of IVIG is going to affect that. But like I said, I'll be back on it tomorrow. One of the more horrible symptoms that I've had is obviously stomach pain. And so it's going to be a little weird because my negatives and my pros are going to be very contradictory. So you're going to see that, on one list, I'm going to say stomach pain is worse. On another list, I'm going to say that my stomach felt better, which kind of doesn't make any sense. But I've actually had stomach pain. So when I eat and the food hits my stomach, it actually hurts. I mean, it feels more of like a muscular pain, not like a stomach ache kind of pain. Almost like a tension, almost like, I guess, like an ulcer type pain, I want to say. And I have had days where my dyspepsia has been a little bit worse. I had one day where I think I ate something with tomato in it, and I just had a really bad upset stomach at night, and I ended up having to take a Benadryl. I usually take, I'm supposed to take Benadryl every day, but I typically save my Benadryl for when I have trouble sleeping at night. But this was one of those situations where I needed to take the Benadryl, and it immediately calmed that stomach issue. And so my guess is that it was likely a histamine thing. And that's why I say it must have been something with tomato that I ate, because tomato is very high in histamine, and the Benadryl cut it really well. I mean, immediately the Benadryl will hit my stomach and I feel my stomach calm down. So I can say that I'm having some kind of histamine kick up. With, I guess, because I'm not on my IVIG, but I have heard, and the blog that I was telling you guys about, February Stars, she did say that her histamine kicked up a bit in the early weeks of post-exosomes treatment. So she said that it could have been a medication that she was on, but she did notice that some of her histamine issues kind of flared up a bit. So it could be from exosomes. could also be from the lack of IVIG, because IVIG is supposed to tamp down some of that reactivity. I have noticed I have like some skin irritation. I have some skin irritation on some areas that I'm not going to be specific about, but I also have skin irritation on my finger. That's something that had actually resolved. I typically get like eczema, and I used to have like really bad skin irritation on my fingertips way back when, like cracking and that sort of thing. The weather has been very dry though, don't get me wrong. The weather has been horribly dry here in Southern California, so my skin has been dry and just, you know, I've been getting cuts very, very easily because it's just dry and the skin is just it feels very thin. But I have noticed that on one of my fingers there seems to be like a skin irritation that just doesn't want to go away. So that could also be from the lack of IVIG and just, you know, issues in general. I've noticed to my face in the last, probably this past week, my skin has been a little bit more sensitive. It just seems to be kind of tingly and stingy. And again, that was a byproduct of the histamine issues. And it doesn't surprise me because my histamine issues have been a little bit worse. My acne, right now I have a little bit of an outbreak on my abdomen, and I've had some outbreak on my face. I did notice that because I stopped the IVIG. And, you know, I started seeing kind of an increase in the acne issues, which is ironic because now that I go to my pros list, I saw a decrease in the acne issues immediately following the exosomes. So I saw almost a calming, you know, for a little while in the acne. It kind of stopped or kind of came down. And so that's kind of weird. I did see also an immediate decrease in some stomach issues I was having, because when I stopped the IVIG after the 2 weeks, I started waking up every morning with like nausea. And that was something that I was having a lot of way back when, before I started my IVIG, just waking up nauseous in the morning, almost like there was food sitting in my stomach all night, which I feel like that's probably what it is. And just waking up nauseated. And that stopped. It was weird how I just kind of like cut that. And so for the first week, that seemed to be like resolved. I don't want to say 100% resolved, but it seemed improved. And then it kind of has kicked up a little bit this week, or it sort of evolved more into the stomach pain. But I'm not waking up with that weird nauseated feeling in the pit of my stomach, which is good, because I would rather just have pain instead of nausea, because they are two different things, believe it or not. You can have pain without having the nausea. Prior to the exosomes, I was also having an increase in headaches and neck pain, which again, that was from stopping the IVIG, because when I was on my IVIG, that seemed to help with those issues. And when I did the exosomes the first week, it seemed to cut those nightly headaches. They feel almost like sinus headaches. So it seemed to cut those and cut the neck pain pretty well. So I was more comfortable. This week, it's been a little bit more of a mixed bag. I still feel that it's better than before I did the exosomes. The exosomes have had some kind of positive effect. They've gotten me through these 2 weeks, because being without the IVIG, you know, after those first 2 weeks before the exosomes, I was like, there's no way. Like, I need to do the exosomes now, because this is only going to get worse. I was feeling pretty miserable. And so the exosomes did do something. They did tamp down a little bit of inflammation, enough to kind of make me a little bit more comfortable. And now this second week after, things have kicked up a little bit more. You know, the stomach pain was really bad, and then the ribcage tightness was really bad, and then it kind of subsides a little bit, and I'm a little bit more comfortable. Sometimes at night, the ribcage tightness will get worse. Sometimes things seem to settle down before bedtime, and I can go to sleep comfortable. So, you know, it's weird, because in some ways it's gotten worse, and then in other ways, I do feel like the exosomes have helped to bring it down and at least get me through these 2 weeks until I can restart my IVIG. I've seen no major changes in my light sensitivity. Again, when I have the increase in headaches, that does kind of feels like I'm more light sensitive. Sometimes I am, but sometimes I think it's just because I have that headache. but I don't see any major changes in my light sensitivity. I don't see any major changes in my energy either. My energy has still been pretty decent. Granted, I'm still on my oxygen. I'm still doing my O2 every day. It does seem to make a difference when I'm on my O2 compared to when I'm off of my O2. And I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos, that the days that I did the exosomes infusions, I was tired and the oxygen really didn't make a difference. But now after that, the oxygen is, back to helping me the way that that it usually does, which is giving me more energy, helping with headaches and that kind of thing. So I've been trying to stay consistent with my oxygen. I have seen so far no changes in bowel movements. Like I said, I've been dealing with some irritation and discomfort in certain areas, and that has affected, going to the bathroom, I guess, if you want to put it that way. And that also could be from the lack of IVIG. Like I said, my skin has been reacting a little bit weird, and it really doesn't matter where the skin is located for whatever reason. It's just affecting specific areas. But when I say no change in bowel movements, I'm talking about the actual what comes out, because there are some people with my conditions that have chronic diarrhea or chronic constipation. I have not seen that much of a difference in that department post exosomes. Now, maybe in the future I will see a difference, but for now I'm kind of glad that it's just sort of stayed the same. And the irritation does seem to be coming down. I don't seem to be feeling as irritated in that area as I was the first week post exosomes. So that could be, a positive or a negative, but I don't know if I can really say that it's the exosomes. So I think for now, that's the stuff that I really notice. Mentally, I feel a little bit more relaxed, but I think that's because I got the exosomes done and over with. I was in a state of just constant stress because I did not have, the doctor wasn't giving me a date. You guys can see that video. It's here on my exosomes playlist. I almost sued the doctor. But I have noticed that some of the ruminations and that sort of craziness that I was feeling has come down a bit. And I think it's just because I was able to get the treatment done and I don't have to think about it anymore. Now, it may get worse as time goes on, as the months go on, depending on whether I see improvement or not. I'm hoping that I do see improvement and that it also helps the mental stuff, because the mental stuff has been really, really bad. But I do feel that little bit of relief where I can, where I'm not ruminating as intensely as I was prior to the exosomes treatment. So tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and so coincidentally, that's 2 weeks out from my exosomes treatment, and I get to start my IVIG back up again. So I am looking forward to it because this discomfort, the muscle stiffness and tightness is not fun. It's very unpleasant. It is not excruciatingly painful, but it is, it does hurt, and it's not, it's just not comfortable, and I don't like it. And it makes it hard to concentrate on other things because it's just a constant discomfort. And I can tell now, this is the first time I've been off of my IVIG in about 3 years. And I've been on IVIG consistently for 3 years, and this is the first time. And I can see now how much it has actually helped me. And, because it's a very subtle improvement and it takes some time, and you don't know how much it's helped you until you stop it. So I'm hoping that my body will take it well again, and it will help me the way that it was helping me before. I do have the feeling that it may take some time, because when I first started it, they gave me loading doses up to 80 grams of IVIG, in a week. And now I'm going to be going, back down to like 5 grams or maybe 10 grams per week. So the improvement may be a little bit slower. And so I'm just going to have to be patient with it. But I'm hoping that my body just kind of responds well to it, and we can kind of get back to where I was prior to this, because it's just not fun to feel crappy. So that's what I have. Like I said, there's a Facebook group called Exosomes Experiences. If you want more information, you have to be a patient. They don't accept people that work for clinics or any clinics at all. And then check out February Stars. I think she did a really good job documenting her journey. She did stem cells and then she did exosomes. And I go to her blog when I'm feeling really concerned. And she does talk about that. She said that she was very, very concerned in the early weeks of her treatment, and she was starting to regret it. So I can't say that this is abnormal to feel like crap right after your exosomes treatment. Especially if you had to stop your other medication, you probably are going to feel pretty crappy. So I would definitely refer to them as well. I'm going to put this in the exosomes playlist. That way you guys have one place to go to see all of the videos. And like I said, I will, you know, if I feel anything else between now and 2 months, I'll come back and check in. But I'm not expecting anything, to be honest, because, you know, my doctor had said, you know, we'll check in 2 months. And so I'm guessing that's her timeline. So thank you for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you get other updates. There will be other videos uploading that have been pre-recorded. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.